Welcome to Remainders, where we talk about all the movies that remain. My name is Patrick, and today we're going to be talking about the 1997 movie Starship Troopers. And I'm actually really excited for this episode because it's going to be kind of a unique one for me. So I don't know about you, but Darren, how's it going, man?
It's going great. Today is April 16th, 2024, and I'm bugging out about this 1997 science fiction cult classic from Paul Verhoeven. And are you ready for me to pick your brain about this movie, Pat?
That's what I'm thinking. So today it's hanging out, did a little work, got home, and I was thinking we were going to do this podcast, and turns out Darren still hadn't watched the movie, which is totally cool. I'm watching it. He texts me, and we're gonna still keep the podcast going, even though he's a busy man with all of his amazing projects going, and still fitting in the little remnant Suncoast movie watching podcast that we do here. And it turns out he's still gonna sneak in the movie and basically have a first reaction podcast to this. So
I know it's kind of perfect because it is a first reaction. Like literally, I just finished it seconds ago.
Okay, so this is a movie that I saw in 1997 as a young lad, renting it on the first weekend it came out at Blockbuster Video. I can still remember picking up the clamshell of the Starship Troopers because I was so excited that it came out.
Ooh, that feels good. I could feel it right now. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's so great. And I've watched this probably 100 times since then. And so I think, we're both relatively smart. Not that smart. We're kind of dummies, but I figure with my experience of watching it 100 times and your first reaction, I think we could put our heads together and kind of figure out what's going on with this movie a little bit. So, I don't want to give us too much credit in terms of our intelligence, but it's Nazis in space is basically what's going on in this movie. And maybe we can figure out what's actually happening. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably miss a ton of stuff since it is my first watch, but I will just tell you straight off the bat, fun. I mean, the movie is fun. It's what we love. People getting fucking dismembered by bugs in outer space. I mean, so just that straight up sold. I love it. I don't know why it's taken me this long. Again, every time we watch these films, I'm like, why did it take me this long to watch this film for the first time? Of course, I've known about it. I've seen this theatrical poster probably more times in storefront windows than any other movie. I remember this like so well in a Hollywood Video and also in Blockbuster, like you were saying. It was just like, it must have been pretty big hit at the time. Maybe you know better than I do, but I remember the advertising being, really out there. So or maybe it did really well, like on video too, maybe it wasn't maybe a box office smash, but maybe it went to video and people had started to really enjoy it. Cause I feel like it's got that cult classic vibe. I mean, clearly it's not for everybody, right? Like killing bugs in outer space is right down our alley, but maybe not the whole public. But it does like have a great, like interesting cast, especially when you like step away from it and you realize in 2025 you're watching like Denise Richards in a movie. Like I don't know where this is as far as like her career, but also Casper Van Dien. You're like, damn, what the fuck happened to him? Like, I remember seeing him in Sleepy Hollow and thinking, oh yeah, isn't that the guy from Starship Troopers? And then I didn't really see anything of him after that. But then of course you got Doogie Howser, MD in this, and also, well, spoiler alert, because this is from 1997. The thing that killed me is losing Diz, right? Diz was my favorite character, and I wanted her to be with Casper Van Dien so bad. I mean, nobody really makes it out of this film, and to be honest, and we'll talk about it, but there was a lot to take in, and it was fun and cool to see a cast like that in 2025.
Love to hear that. Well, one thing I've always said is growing up is realizing that Diz was the right choice over what's her face?
Is that how you felt?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, as you grow up, you're realizing that Diz was the right choice over Denise Richards, and Denise Richards being the typical perfect-looking girl that he's going for the whole time, and then you realize, oh, Diz was actually the perfect choice by far.
Totally, so, and I guess probably if you like look at 1997, I'm sure she was. Denise Richards was probably like the it girl around that time. Everybody was like the bombshell or whatever. And so, when you remove it from that time and you just like look at it for story, you're like, damn, yeah, like this was it. Played by Dina Meyer. Is that right? What else is she in? Do you know?
For this, definitely she's always been Diz, but Johnny Mnemonic and Dragonheart and the first Saw looks like she's all in all of those. And I actually haven't watched any of those in the last 20 years, so I don't remember much of it. So
anyway, love her in this.
Love to hear it. So it sounds like your first viewing of this pivotal movie for me has been positive. So just a little context. I mean, so a big reason why, it's not the only reason why, but like it's a spiritual sequel to RoboCop. This is directed by Paul Verhoeven, written by Ed Neumeyer, and the score composed by Basil Poledouris. So this is 100% like a reunion for the three of them who did RoboCop 10 years after RoboCop in 1997, making this movie and leaning more into the fascist propaganda that they played with
started in RoboCop, right?
Right. And they leaned full into Starship Troopers. Basically, I mean, the summation of the film, and I text you this just to give you context. It's not like it's giving anything away, but the key to understanding, and not saying that makes it good or anything, but the key to understanding what Verhoeven's intention was to make a true propaganda war film in terms of not just critiquing propaganda war films, but actually making one where while you're watching it, you side with the aggressors. You side with the Nazis, who are the aggressors in an army fighting a war against a race that they deem to be subhuman. And so that's basically all that is just basically Verhoeven's intention with the movie. And whether or not you think it works, and there are plenty of people who don't think it works totally in that way, that's what the purpose of it was. And so,
do you need it to work? I wonder if that, is that a good question? Do you need it to work to be a success?
Well, I just mean whether. So there's a lot of stuff in here that there are choices that some people feel is like giving too much credit. So kind of leaning into it being a propaganda film, the wooden acting and kind of the stiff characters who are just perfect looking, kind of like a Ken and Barbie doll. That's kind of like what Johnny Rico and Denise Richards' characters are. They're just these perfect looking people, have perfect lives, and they end up going into the war. And so having kind of a more stiff wooden acting style, Verhoeven kind of did do that intentionally, but a lot of people are like, that's giving him too much credit. It's more of just a B movie and substandard acting. You know what I mean? So, and that's totally fine. Like I am not against any of the criticism, but like, I personally think that Verhoeven was intentionally doing that. Maybe a lesser director or somebody who was like, a first-time director, I could see that criticism holding up a little bit more. But Verhoeven, with his experience of growing up under Nazi-occupied, he was Dutch. He grew up in Nazi-occupied land in the 40s, making RoboCop 10 years before. He has the credentials to basically, I'd say, believe that was intentional. So,
yeah, or just to speak on it in general, like, he's more of an expert than, most directors would be about that subject matter.
Yeah. His obsession with violence is very much born out of a childhood where he saw it firsthand from under fascism. So it's led to him and having a career of exploitation. I mean, he's done lots of other movies that are different from this. He dabbles in religion quite a bit. I mean, he did Showgirls, Basic Instinct. I mean, he's all about the exploitation factors in America. And that's another part of it, is like, he didn't grow up in America. And so sometimes it almost takes an outsider to give a better perspective of a culture, because they didn't grow up in it. They weren't indoctrinated by anything in it. They're able to kind of look at it from an outsider point of view.
Yeah, they're not coerced by any kind of media or any kind of nationalism or whatever you might call it. But I also, thinking about those films right now, Showgirls is on Criterion. And, it's crazy. Like, I haven't seen that since it first came out, but it has become a cult classic as well. Yeah. I think they played it at Cinespia over here in the cemetery. I talk about that all the time, how much I love going to those. And like, people love it. Like, it's it's grown. And then also Basic Instinct was another one of his films. I guess I didn't know. And and then RoboCop and fucking Starship Troopers. It's like, wow. And you know a lot about this director. This must be somebody that you really, I mean, I know you love RoboCop, of course, but
yeah, I mean, for RoboCop and Starship Troopers alone, he would be one of my favorite directors. But his career, he's definitely, like I said, he's been an expert on exploitation filmmaking, and most of his movies, even if they were successes, they've grown in popularity. Like Showgirls, like I'm sure you remember, it's like people thought that was like the biggest piece of shit
at the time. It was like a joke.
At the time, it was a joke. It was like, oh, this is just taking advantage of women. It's trash cinema. It's like, but I mean, stuff like that is like, it just needs like time, basically, because most audiences don't get it. And this is Starship Troopers is an example of it. Like this movie was 100% dismissed as just like a garbage kind of action movie for 12-year-old boys, which I was a 12-year-old boy watching this at the time. So it was kind of nailed at me. And all the Nazi propaganda commentary and the fact that it was about fascism, like at least in the mainstream, like criticism and like reaction to it, like it completely went over everybody's head. I mean, and he was kind of surprised by that. This is his quote. I borrowed from the films of Leni Riefenstahl to show that these soldiers were like something out of Nazi propaganda. I even put one in an SS uniform, which is Neil Patrick Harris walking up at the end in a fucking full Nazi uniform. But no one noticed. And that is true. It's like, it was just like, even if people noticed, it was completely dismissed. It was like, oh, that's just, that's giving credit where credit's not due, and not something that's was appreciated at the time. Fortunately, like I said, like this has a huge like cultural reappraisal, like a lot of movies, especially of a lot of his movies, and it's people kind of appreciate it much more now than they did at the time. I think you mentioned you saw there was a screening recently that somebody they were walking into.
Yeah, like literally, that's why I kind of said we got to watch this, because like it was the Vista Theater was playing it, and I had all the time there's people walking in and out of Pam's Coffee, and the big like fun star sighting around here that everybody like talks about. They like chatter online about like it's it's going to be a good day when you see Jack Black, and I see him like all around town and walking around. I see his son all the time. Like it's kind of weird to know, because they look the exact same. So like you're almost like, am I seeing Jack Black from like 2005? It's just crazy.
Oh, for real?
That's amazing. His son is like looks just like him when he was younger. But anyway, he was there, and he was like on the phone talking to somebody. Then went into Pam's Coffee while I was in line. He got like some tea, and I was sitting there outside waiting for my friend, and then I see what's his name? Gosh, Fred Armisen walk in. And he meets Fred Armisen, and they're like in there for like what seems like 10 minutes, and then they walk out to see Starship Troopers together in the Vista Theater. And I was like, damn, like I need to see Starship Troopers finally. You know what I mean? That was like the moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was like, I don't know, like less than a week ago. And I think I sent you like a picture, like a sneak picture. I was like, holy shit, like they just went in to see Starship Troopers. And I know you've talked about this film before, but now making the connection about like the director and all these things, it just makes so much more sense why you've been wanting to do it for so long. And yeah, I just didn't have any movie that I thought was going to be like worthwhile talking about. I couldn't think of anything. And so when I gave you my three choices, I kind of knew you were going to pick Starship Troopers, but it was like weird, because it's like, this was my week to have a movie. And I was like, oh damn, I have to double dip on Pat, but I think you didn't mind.
Yeah, you made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
There you go. What you did, to speak in movie terms. Yeah.
But no, it's true. It's it has gained appreciation by far. And it's a lot of movies like that, but just in terms of, I think people kind of appreciating it, that it's, at least trying to do way more than just like a good, bad movie, which is how it was kind of viewed at first. Some people had kind of that reaction to it. I mean, I loved it from day one, seeing it as a kid renting it from Blockbuster. Certainly didn't pick up on everything, on all the nuances that we'll talk about, but
you had to get older and smarter for that.
Well, I got older, but the other part, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I can appreciate the other stuff a little bit more now. So I guess Yeah, so let's lead into that. So I made you watch RoboCop because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. Are there any kind of similarities you noticed?
Well, so I
what was the
wasn't
kind of
watching
stuff
it.
that hung out from
I
you?
wasn't watching it thinking about RoboCop, but now that you
Okay.
say it, yeah,
Yeah.
like kind of like there is moments, and I wanted to talk about like the visual effects, and I'm sure you know more about it than I do, but I can see a little bit like that stop motion feel, even though I know this has got to be like pretty much all CGI, right? I mean,
there were some practical effects, and I was impressed by, I mean, a lot of the ships look pretty dated, but the bugs themselves, the CGI for the bugs, they look good. This is 1997.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I was pretty impressed, and you know, the bugs themselves, like just to talk a little bit about what you're saying and his intention, the director's intention. I didn't necessarily get that like coming through my first time.
Yeah.
I didn't feel sympathy or anything like that for the bugs. I don't know if it was set up well enough for that. Yeah, go ahead.
So, well, I just want to stop. It's the last thing the movie would ever want you to do is feel sympathy for the bugs, because like I said, the whole point of the movie is to be it's basically like the Why We Fight films from like Nazi Germany. And this is, again, that's not me pointing that out. That's Verhoeven's purpose to create
from that lens. I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So like the whole point of watching the movie is to get you to side with the humans, which in this story, they're basically the Nazis, who are the aggressors toward another race, whether or not who's right or who's wrong. So showing the whole movie itself is to get you to side with the humans. And so the last thing you would ever feel through this movie, at least, is like sympathy for the other side, because they're bugs, they're subhuman. So
okay, now I see what you're saying. Yeah. So it's basically like, yes, a full propaganda nationalist. Yes.
And the fact that it's meta, like RoboCop kind of played with ideas of fascism and propaganda for sure, but it was still winking at the audience. This goes full meta. This is like his intention was to make a movie that is 100% a propaganda film where you're actually watching it and you side with the fucking Nazis. You side with the aggressors. Hence, like I said, like all the good looking people, the good young people, everything that you're watching them is to celebrate the destruction of the other race, whether or not who's right or who's wrong. So, yeah, I mean, again, this is just like, that's his intention. Whether or not you think it's successful in that's totally cool. But like, that's like what he was like setting out to do with this movie, at least. So.
And then just to kind of pivot back to what we're talking about with the effects, I noticed like maybe some more practical effects when they would show like more scenes of the destruction, and they would show like dismembered bodies and things like that. The action sequences and different things like that seemed more CGI, like just to the full extent. And this was also like, it's crazy because it is from 1997 to think about how good the CGI looks at that time. I mean, this is not that far removed from Jurassic Park, and like, you know, Jurassic Park was like the exception to CGI because I thought it looked great in that, but like every other movie around that time, it wasn't looking very good.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it recently. I think we pointed out, or I was mentioning how like the Pirates of the Caribbean, Davy Jones was kind of like the best peak of CGI, and that was only, I mean, less than a decade after this movie, but it's still like 15 years past from where we are now, at least. So, I mean, there are definitely examples of how like CGI has peaked, and for whatever reason, it's like shittier now.
But also like in this universe, it maybe works better too, because it's kind of like already fantasy, you know, when you try to like put anything into like a real world, like, you know, I mean, then again, you know, 2005, we're talking about like War of the Worlds. And so, I mean, that seemed pretty good. It's been a while since I've seen that film, the Tom Cruise one.
It's so good.
But anyway, long story short, I mean, it holds up. And I think the practical effects, like when they have the people that are dead on the ground or whatever, and the bugs and stuff like that, I feel like those are props, and it just looks really cool. It looks different than like, you know, the Greg Nicotero kind of special effects or practical effects. It just looks like, I don't know, like it feels different than that somehow, and I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I like it in a good way. Like, because you usually like see the Nicotero stuff because he just like rules the land on it, you know, the Savini Nicotero stuff, and I feel like this is just feels different somehow.
Well, I think it's because it's a combination of practical and CGI, which is, I think, one explanation. I'm sure there are plenty, but one explanation why CGI might be shittier now, because a lot of movies are 100% CGI, whereas movies in the late 90s and early 2000s, less so in the early 2000s, but like throughout the late 90s, they still were relying on practical effects. So you had the practical effects tethering the CGI. So you couldn't completely rely on the CGI. So you at least had to make an effort to make them look seamless or like realistic in the same way. So I think that kind of like enhanced the practical effects and made sure that they weren't like half-assing the CGI itself. So I just feel like the fact that they don't have to do that anymore is maybe a reason why everything feels a little bit more glossy for stuff now. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, when it comes to one of the major similarities, it's the commercials. It's the advertisements to the public between RoboCop and Starship Troopers. What did you think about that in terms of like this movie starting off with those commercials that are aimed at the public, showing the recruitment. There's like the commercial where they're showing like all the soldiers handing guns to kids, handing out like the bullets, like is like handing out candy. Yeah. They show the kids stepping on the bugs and the teacher just laughing maniacally at it. And so it starts with these commercials. They go throughout as like kind of like it's like a combination news, combination recruitment advertisements, and the movie ends with that as well, showing like the probing of the brain bug. So it's like that's just a signature component of Verhoeven tethering like this movie to RoboCop, very much so.
Yeah, definitely really helps like your propaganda stuff, like the old news on the march kind of newsreel footage before
Why We Fight.
Yeah, Why We Fight, all the World War II propaganda stuff that you would even see here right before you'd see movies. And so I know that's part of his style. And it works, of course. And I also like, it was weird. It was strangely relevant as far as the technology look of things. Did you feel that way? Like for now, like it almost looks like the guys are like drawing on an iPad in the beginning.
Yeah. Like it almost looks touchscreen because like, would you like to know more? Like, like whether or not you're going to click yes or
like a DVD menu or something like that. You know, it's like, do you want to know like the Easter egg over here? You go check it out. Yeah. But it was, I enjoyed like all of that stuff and nice, like little, the universe of it all, you know, just like the world of it all reminds me of, and I know you probably haven't seen this show, but it's great. It's the Fallout show. Have you seen it?
No. Oh, the video game? Yeah, you mentioned that.
But they have a show, and Goggins is in it.
Nice.
And it feels a lot like you. I think you'd love the show. It feels a ton like this, and I think they're about to release their second season. So there's one season, and I believe it's actually on Amazon. Same thing that I watched this on, but. That's immediately when I started watching, I was like, oh man, this doesn't feel that different than the universe that they're creating for. And maybe I haven't looked, but you know, that's what's his name's brother, who created Westworld. Oh, come on. And Interstellar's director. Come on.
Nolan?
Yeah, Christopher Nolan's brother created the Fallout.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, I should check that out.
Yeah. So
the list of shows that I need to watch that I just don't keep up with the mainstream.
You don't really watch TV as much, but I mean,
and I'm not against it. I'm just fucking lazy. I don't know.
I mean, lazy. I don't believe that because you watch movies all the time. You could just like start a show instead of watching a movie, and you'd be the same thing. Yeah.
It just feels. I don't know. It's just I'm more compelled to watch a movie, and there just seems like a lot of good shows that I've missed out on, and so I don't know where to start. So I mean, I watched most of Succession. I mean, we just discussed this. I still need to watch Monarch, the Godzilla. The fact that there's a Godzilla show starring Kurt Russell and I still haven't watched it is bananas. So, but I will be watching Andor season 2. Andor season 1 was one of my favorite TV shows for many years now. So I'm very excited for that. So
yeah, that's all Apple stuff, right? So Monarch, I think, is on Apple.
Monarch's on Apple, yeah.
Yeah, so you should be good, to throw it in there. We just started watching. Sorry, not to go to too much of a tangent, but we watched the studio.
Well, it was tangent heavy. So
we are, yeah. But just like streamer wise, last weekend we started watching an Apple show because my girlfriend has Apple, not me. But called The Studio.
I've heard
great.
Scorsese comes in hot and early on in that, so I definitely need to watch that. That's awesome.
Really good. And in general, it's just a really smart show, and it's shot really well. And then also the new John Hamm thing, just because I fucking love John Hamm. But yeah. Anyway, a lot of good TV, and it's gonna roll through like it's good because summer is usually not the best time for that stuff. So yeah, get at it.
Oh yeah, love it. Good old
so
John
back
Hamm.
to Starship Troopers,
Yes. Okay. So where else do we go now? So, I mean, a little more context. So this is based on the Robert Heinlein book, which I've never read, and I've always meant to. I've read Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein, and I loved it. So I've always been meaning to read it. And from what I understand, I mean, it is a pretty different adaptation in terms of Verhoeven wanting to basically turn the book on its head. I guess the book is a little bit more straightforward in terms of like political allegory, whereas like he kind of subverted it and went full in on, like I said, making it a meta propaganda film, almost critiquing like what was in the book itself, which most people are for, but like I guess it turns out like some people like feel like he changed it in a way that lost the heart of the book, but I think that was kind of his point. Basically, the political stuff he didn't fully agree with, he got off by, like I said, turning it into a meta film, a propaganda film itself. So I should read it. I could have a little bit more context for that, but that's all I got for that. But it is based on an old.
No, I mean but it's funny because you usually are the guy who would read the books, but so hearing
not with movies though. So not with movies I love. Usually. If it's a movie I love or anything, I have no desire to read the book. So just because I like having that separated, so books and movies are two completely different things. And so there's very rarely been like a time when I loved both of them at the same time. Usually,
so was this okay? So I'm reading here that budget was 100 to 110 million, and it made 121 million. So I'd say, yeah, this was a successful movie when it came out.
121 million, you say? For the box office?
Yeah. So basically made $11 million.
Gross. So I see gross worldwide $121 million, which is, I'm not saying it was a failure at the time. It was a modest success. When I was saying like success, more of like critically. Was
for sure.
Certainly not as appreciated.
But it's successful enough to also have what? 4 or 5 like sequels to this. Holy shit.
Yeah, but all direct to video at the time, direct to video. So, which is very different from what direct to streaming is now. So at the time, if it was direct to video, that was it was a modest success. So it was pretty successful. It's not like it was like the biggest movie in the world. So opening weekend, $22 million in 1997. That's pretty big. So, yeah. So
I would also say we have really, really done the public who's watching this a nasty, because we did not talk yet about Jake Busey. I mean, everybody here, if you're still with us, you're thinking, why are these motherfuckers not talking about Jake Busey? And this is the same year. Busey, so. Well, exactly. This is the same year, if not, or maybe a year after he was part of The Frighteners, which is one of our favorites. But we got to cover that, by the way. We haven't yet. We got to cover The Frighteners for sure. But Jake Busey, man, is he so fucking perfect in this. I love it.
Ace Levy, he's the perfect right-hand man to Johnny Rico. I mean, he's just like, they give him a little glimpse of maybe he's going to be the adversary. Like when they're, I love that scene, like
the Iceman, the Val Kilmer kind of.
I watching this time, I was like, from a director's standpoint of like, just like how many movies have done like similar stuff like that in a similar way. Like, so they're just getting to the training site. They're training in the army. They go to lunch. They're at lunch and the buffet waiting in line. Busey jumps ahead of line Rico stands up to him, and just for a second, you're like, oh, geez, this is going to be the guy who's just going to be the adversary for the rest of the movie. And then he just laughs. He's like, I guess you and I can be friends now. So
yeah, totally. Like, the kind of like
so good.
The dumb, like American, like, pure blood, like best friend, buddy kind of football player, Yeah.
But just the way that Verhoeven like changes it like that, because you've seen it a million times where like like in any type of army setting or sports setting, it's like, oh, this is the guy who's going to be an adversary, and it just like flips on his head like in a second so perfectly with Jake Busey's beautiful teeth just glaring out of his angular head.
Yeah, so good. And that's the thing is like 1997, this cast, it's like, yeah, it aged, if you ask me, it aged very well, because I love seeing these guys, even like seeing Denise Richards in this. I was like, never cared at all about her back then, and I'm kind of like, I don't think she's that bad in this. Like, she's actually kind of like a good, I don't think the acting is as bad as like everyone is saying it is in this. Like, I think it's not, the point or whatever. Yeah.
Again, and you can totally disagree with me, but like if Verhoeven purposely kind of hired younger, less experienced actors who were perfect looking to kind of give it that propaganda film style of like, just like, and I mean, any type of film you look at it, it's like, they're not actually great actors or anything. They're just good looking people who are there. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely think that it's fun to look back all these years later and see this cast. Because again, and then there's other people that show up too, like the guy from Breaking Bad, isn't it? He's like one of the sergeants.
Well, yeah, let's go through the cast because there's a lot of people we could talk about. So Norris Dean, right? Is that his name? Dean Norris.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and so Dean Norris, he had a pivotal part in Verhoeven's movie that we didn't mention, which is probably his biggest hit, to be honest, is Total Recall. That's probably That's probably his most. That's probably his most like financially and culturally popular movie that he's ever done, to be honest, at least in the sci-fi realm. Dean Norris shows up in that with the guy with the one eye. He's kind of the mutant.
That's right. That's who he plays. Wow, yeah, I haven't seen that in forever, man. I would love to cover that too. Damn,
well, that's Verhoeven's sci-fi trilogy: RoboCop, Total Recall, and this Starship Troopers, which is why he's the GOAT for sci-fi. So
you're saying Total Recall was before this, then? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Total Recall was 1990, I think. RoboCop was 87, Recall 90, this 97. So he had a 10-year run of like just banging out three of the best sci-fi movies of all time. So Dean Norris shows up in that. I mean, okay. And then a couple that I want to mention is Clancy Brown. He plays Sergeant Zim, one of my favorite character actors of all time. Shawshank Redemption. He showed up in Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, he's been in so many small roles of like amazing movies. He's just phenomenal. He's the one recently that I've discovered that I've talked about a couple times that I slept on for a while. He was the bad guy in the original Highlander, and he's so great in it. So, and then along with him, you got Michael Ironside. Yeah, amazing Michael Ironside, one of the best villains of all time. The villain in Total Recall. So obviously, Verhoeven bringing him back for that. He plays Ratchak, the commander. And such a great role because he technically is a villain because technically everybody in this movie is a villain. So, but because he's kind of the mentor to Johnny Rico, he's also kind of one of the most endearing characters, which is like, so he's basically an endearing character who's also kind of the villain at the same time. So he's kind of the one who sets him up in school and those early scenes. You know,
doesn't have a hand, right? That's what we're saying. Yeah.
And that kind of goes into, so he was the teacher to Rico and Denise Richards in high school. And he kind of starts the conversation of like when violence is appropriate. And he basically represents the school system, the education system, where you're basically teaching children that violence is always the answer. It's never overt like that, but that's 100% what those kind of early classroom scenes are about, where it's like violence is basically the ultimate decider for everything, which is fascism 101, where the military leads a culture. So And Ironside just like crushes that so much. So
cool. Yeah, there's a lot that I see. Again, you'd love to watch this film like again, just to capture all of this like you're talking about. I mean, first watch, you're just like enjoying the fact that there's bugs like cutting people's heads off. You know what I mean? There's a lot to it, which is, I don't think anybody got it at the time. I don't think anybody, was thinking that this film was going to be so deep in.
But again, in hindsight, it is kind of ridiculous that it wasn't at least noticed, because again, like we said, Neil Patrick Harris steps out in full Nazi uniform. I don't know, like Verhoeven says, like, how do you not?
I definitely noticed that. Yeah, at the end.
I'm just saying, like culturally, like mainstream critics, it's like, how do you not kind of see that and be like, oh, well, this movie's trying to at least, whether or not successful, that's another story. But like, oh, that movie's trying to do something different than just being that basic B horror movie. So and being that propaganda stuff. So. I don't know. Yeah, it's good to see that like I said, the cultural reappraisal of it has come around full swing, and that's a sign of me just how fucking old we're getting. Is that like we're watching movies that people react 100% differently to now than we did when we were younger. So I always think of The Thing. The Thing, like, was
the Kurt Russell. The Thing. Yeah.
This was. I mean, when we were kids, that movie was like almost throwaway. By the time we were working at Suncoast, it was like just still like a cult underground movie. And now The Thing is like, most people will point that as like the #1 horror movie of all time. So just like watch it, like again, that's just art and movies and culture. It's like opinions shift, and
but that's why I think
discover stuff later. So
scary nowadays that some, unless it's going to be like a kind of automatic thought that this is going to be a hit, it won't get funded. And, you're not going to make anything that will age with time.
Right.
It's all about, money, of course, and it was back then as well. But I think more like studios and people were willing to take more chances, back then for the life of something.
Oh, totally.
And the art in general. Right.
I mean, speaking of The Thing, like John Carpenter's entire career after Halloween was like, almost every one of his movies was a complete bomb. Like he very rarely had any financial successes after Halloween. And so at the time you're like, oh, this director is not doing anything. And now, like I said, like he's become like, he just got his, I wanted to
like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that?
I didn't go down there or anything like that. I mean,
that's, did you show me pictures? You were at the showing the stars on the Hollywood Walk.
We were there probably like a couple days after it happened. It was the same day. Yeah. But yeah.
But did you see a star?
No, I didn't, because again, we were just there after one of those Emmy events that we talked about on this before. We went to like where they have the Oscars. I forget the name of the place. It's right across from the Jimmy Kimmel studio, and it was a Dancing with the Stars event. So they were just like had a bunch of like dancing. It was fun. It was cool, and they give you lunch and stuff. But afterwards, I'm like, let's go get a fucking drink. So I went and got like a Guinness down the street and just walked around. I just walked around Hollywood because we never do that. For anyone listening that's not familiar, like Hollywood's dangerous, man. It's like it's filled with people during the day, and so it's a little less dangerous. But people are still crazy, and at night you just really don't want to be walking around. So we rarely go like into it like that, and we're just having fun that day. So we saw a lot of stuff, but we didn't see Carpenter. Yeah. But yes, I watched his. Did you watch his speech? I mean, it was nothing. He didn't even say anything.
Yeah, I watched his video. I watched Kurt Russell's and Keith David's speech also. So and those were both great. So
I watched. I only watched Kurt Russell's, and I thought that was terrific. It was pretty sweet,
So the sombrero hat story, it always hits. He always
you're
pulls
gonna be
that
wearing that thing. It's like, no, I'm not. That's all anybody talks about, the goddamn sombrero.
Yeah. But again, the whole reason we brought this up. So he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he's become one of the most, rightfully so, appreciated and influential directors of all time. But none of his movies were that successful at the time, but they are all classics now. People just discovering shit later. Sometimes it takes time. It's basically it's always the Marty McFly. It's like maybe you're not ready for that, but your kids are going to love it.
Your kids are going to love it. Yeah, totally.
It's like the best shit is always like that. So
yeah. I can tell you that like I'm glad we finally have seen a few Verhoeven. I was just not like so hip to him for a while. Until you started being like, no, dude, you gotta pay attention, like, and starting with RoboCop, which like, that was our 50th episode. This is our 69th episode. Oh yeah. And we're talking about like this. And now I'm kind of like, damn, we got to go into Total Recall. Let's do Showgirls, like we got to cover it all.
Yes, he's I was realizing today, he really is just a maximalist. Which is one of the major reasons why James Cameron is another one of my favorite directors. Like it just in terms of directing and the subject matter, he just is all about bombastic, over the top, more as an ethos of like how he chooses to tell stories. And that's a reason why he's so enduring in terms of cultural relevance, I think. Whether or not, like, you're right, his name isn't, I think most people most normies wouldn't necessarily know his name as a director, but they certainly know his major hits, especially these three sci-fi movies that we're talking about. So
it's kind of like, it's funny, everybody will say, but at least this was before the play Jersey Boys came out, like you'd say, do you know the Four Seasons? And everyone would be like, yeah. And they'd be like, name one of the songs. Nobody could name a song. And they'd be like, do you know Big Girl Don't Cry? And then, that's the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. It's funny because like at the time they had like more hits than the Beatles, but nobody knew. And it was like, it's weird how people know that. Like, yeah, these are all huge movies, but you would not know the director and as a household name for some reason,
Yeah. I mean, that's what's kind of unique about movies is it's a director's medium, but the director doesn't always come through as the reason why a movie's a hit. You know what I mean? Like it's like Tarantino's like on one end of the spectrum, whereas like they're just other ends of the spectrum where like some directors have huge hits and whatsoever and have great careers, but it's not necessarily their name that always comes up as a reason why it was a great hit or whatever. So,
well, just not to get on another tangent, but I mean, we are going to be getting another installment of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it looks like, with David Fincher directing. And what, you don't love that or what?
I guess I have mixed feelings about it. It's a perfect movie already. And it's going to be basically, somebody pointed out, this is not me. I saw a reaction is like, it's 100% against, or no, it's 100%.
What Tarantino said. Yeah.
No, it's 100% perfect about what Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is, which is about the death of Hollywood. And so the resulting sequel is just like this direct to streaming half cast version of it. It's like, it's not even Leo in it or anything. So it's like this.
But I mean, at the same time, like, you gifted me that book, I believe, right? Yeah. Because I know you got me Cinema Speculation. I think you also got me the book, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I read that and loved it. And I was kind of surprised about how like deeper the characters do go in the book. So I could see it working,
Sure. Yeah, maybe I'm just being a grump. It is a perfect. Again, like we can almost talk about it. Like you brought up Tarantino, is like he was saying Toy Story 3 was perfect. I don't need to watch anything more. So I'm going to use his own quote against himself. It's like, I don't necessarily need a capper to something that is already kind of perfect. So,
but when you see like Fincher and like Tarantino working together, that's pretty intriguing,
Yeah, but man, again, the director is. It's mostly the direct to streaming stuff that I don't get. Like I still haven't seen David Fincher's last movie, the Michael Fassbender movie.
Yeah,
because it's just direct to streaming. I don't have Netflix. I don't want Netflix. I'll buy it if it's on physical media, which I don't think it is. Even that, I would have gone and seen it in the theater. But maybe this shit becomes disposable. It just like disappears into the ether. Yeah. I'm all for streaming, like having it, but like when it's only streaming, it's like shit. It's like it almost doesn't it's almost like a philosophical question. Did the movie really come out if it was just streaming? It sounds like
you need something tangible in this world again. That's for sure.
I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'll watch it the first chance I get for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll come out in theaters and I'll watch it quicker that way. So cast. One more thing. We got Seth Gillum shows up. Did you recognize him?
Yeah, Gabriel from Walking Dead.
Gabriel from Walking Dead. Yeah. Early Seth Gillum.
I figured you'd catch that now that you're caught up, and had, I think, liked The Walking Dead. So,
oh my God, it fucking didn't end. Jesus Christ, that show. Everybody was
still
right.
Not
that
ending.
Show,
it's still fucking airing other like spinoffs and shit like that.
All the spinoffs, which I thought I was gonna watch, and I got to the end of Walking Dead. I'm like, there's no way I'm watching these spinoffs. That show. I think I even liked it longer than most people did, and it still went on way too fucking long. It was just like, because I guess I was really digging the soap opera aspect of it, where it was like a never ending story, but they didn't grow any characters aside from they didn't.
Well, like then there would just be like these deaths of these characters, and you're just kind of like, man, I invested so much into these characters, now they're gone. It's like, okay, but now I can get into this one. And then, 5 episodes down the line, it's like, they're dead too. It's like, it got a little crazy towards the end. I don't even think I finished the final season, but I was on the final season. I was able to watch that show on television, like, because my place in Chicago had RCN, which was like the cable network. So I would still watch it when it aired on TV. But then, like, I don't know what happened. Like, I moved or something. I just kind of got that. Yeah, maybe this is to your point. It kind of got lost. Like, does it even exist anymore? Because like I don't, not watching on TV, so I don't know where to find it. Do I got to get AMC to fucking, and is that part of anything? No. Okay, I got to pay an extra $15 for that bullshit. Fuck this,
Streaming woes. That's why we're on this right now.
Streaming woes. Yeah, that's our next podcast. Streaming woes.
Okay, that was like a lot of the major cast stuff that I wanted to talk about. Do you have a favorite line from the movie?
It's too soon to say, man. I mean, again, I'm just, removed from it a half an hour now, so I can't really recall. But what about you? I'm sure you do.
Oh, I definitely have a favorite line.
And
after and this will go into another aspect of the plot that I missed out for a little bit and kind of relive on this. So, when they're in the Army recruitment and training, Buenos Aires, which is Johnny Rico's hometown, gets blasted by a meteor and basically just blown off the earth. And that's kind of the catalyst to why they end up attacking Clondathnu, the bug planet. And so they're all running up and they see the newscast about it. And one of his partner soldiers is about to cry. He says, "Goddamn bugs whacked us, Johnny." And it's awesome. "Goddamn bugs whacked us, Johnny" is a line that I just fucking love because it sounds so good. It's delivered with such perfection and just captures the anguish, understandable anguish.
Diz says that, right?
No, it's the redhead, and I don't remember her name. I'm looking at the cast right now.
Like super short hair girl.
Short hair.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Katrina. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely not Diz, but it's one of the side soldiers. But just goddamn bugs whacked us, Johnny. Just so captures the young, and that's again, this is a propaganda film. These are young people who are recruited into war, driven mostly by fear and aggression. And so, understandably, if you see that, you see a hometown destroyed, which this will get into what I'm talking about, as they are saying was the reason for the bugs sent the meteor. Goddamn bugs whacked us, Johnny is just the perfect reaction to it. So of course you're going to go to war for it. So and that gets into one of the plot points. So they say the meteor was sent by the bugs and that was their attack on Earth. And you just take it for granted in the movie. And you
just believe it.
Yeah, you just believe it. And you're just like, no. One thing I've realized now, it's like, it's a fucking meteor. So the bugs obviously couldn't control a fucking meteor. and they're on the other side of the fucking solar system, and they're bugs. They have no like technological advancements or anything. Humans can't even attack the bug planet from the other side of the solar system. So how the hell would bugs be able to attack the Earth?
They just needed someone to blame, right? Then
right. It's just a random ass meteor that landed on Earth. And because it's a propaganda film, they're like, oh, the bugs attacked us. This is the reason why we have to attack them now.
Yeah. And now everybody fucking dies, you know?
Right.
Everyone's heads got chopped off by these fucking bugs. Man, some of that shit is fucking gross. Oh, the bug that blows the fire. And you see like
the tanker. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
man, I fucking loved it. Oh, it was so good.
But yeah, that plot point I never picked up until a couple of years ago. That it was like
then they say something like, oh, it's like they're bug dust or something. They flew. They see.
Well, so they shoot the plasma. They have those when they land down in the initial attack. They have those giant tanker bugs that shoot plasma into the sky, which is kind of like their defense. But that's not a meteor. That's not going thousands of miles on the other side of the solar system to attack any Earth or anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, it's just so subtle. But like I said, as a propaganda film, you're watching it, it's like you just take it as a matter of fact. Oh yeah, the bugs sent the meteor. They're the ones who attacked Earth. So now we have to retaliate and wipe them off the existence. So
yeah, let's go get them.
Yeah, we're going to war. What are we doing?
It's war. It's war. So good.
I fucking love it. It's so great. The citizen stuff is great. You basically only can become a citizen if you sign up in the army. That's the only way to become a citizen to be able to vote, to whatever rights that citizens have. Like you have no rights unless you join the army, which is like, I mean, that's like as fascist as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
The fact that the enemy is a bug, that's like fascism 101. You dehumanize the enemy. It's like, this is like whatever you can do to make the enemy seem less than human, i.e. a bug, which is the perfect example of less than human. That's kind of the catalyst for that aspect of it. And then another one of the promos is the swift justice. They show the guy, I forget what his crime was, but he was arrested in the morning, charged in the afternoon, and sentenced to death all within like 3 hours. So it's like they have this court system. It's like the opposite of like blind justice or anything. It's like this guy's arrested, charged, and sentenced to death all within just a couple hours. So
yeah,
which
it's so great to hear you talk about all this stuff, because it's like this is fucking smart shit, really, you know. And it's like it's like covered in such like a goofy movie, and you know what I mean.
That's kind of the point, but also why it was kind of misinterpreted, but also why it's kind of one of the best movies ever, because it has its cake and eats it too. That's the beauty of Paul Verhoeven, is that, and we talked about this like in depth in RoboCop. It's like he made like the smartest movie in the world and the dumbest movie in the world, at least in terms of like who can appreciate it. You can be the dumbest guy, you can be the smartest guy, and you can still love RoboCop. And he kind of leans into that even more. I mean, I like RoboCop more, obviously, than Starship Troopers, but he still leans into that direction of having it both ways, which is, I don't know, in art is pretty tough, especially in movies. So
that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this film other than I need to watch it again, clearly, and really soak some of this in, because it is really fun to watch. So if you're out there and haven't seen it, would love to have a good time. I think it's totally that. But if you want to also, like, you know, think of it a little bit more like Pat's saying, and come from that perspective, I think it's viable that way too. Like having only, you know, seen it for the first time today, it's an interesting movie. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this that has these many layers to it. So,
well, I'm glad you liked it. I'll show a little bit of my physical media. I mean, so this is the segment where Pat shows off what he's purchasing. Oh, he's got Starship Troopers here. So if you're watching this, you can see it. This is my most recent. This is this 4K Steelbook that I have. And then I've mentioned Blockbuster box sets, which I absolutely love. He creates slip covers for movies. So this is my current one that I'm enjoying, but I also have a relic from Suncoast Video. This is my original DVD.
Oh,
that I
you didn't
bought
sell that, huh?
from Suncoast. Yeah, I
Wow.
had a small handful of movies that I'm like, there's no way I'm ever getting rid of this. So, including Lord of the Rings, and this was one of them. So, this
Wow.
is my DVD that I bought while working at Suncoast with Darren back in the day. And still great. Still got all the commentaries, by the way. Like, if you have the physical media, both the commentaries are great. You have Paul Verhoeven on both. He does one with Ed Neumeyer, the writer, and then he does a commentary with Casper Van Dien, Dina Meyer, and Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, kick ass.
So, and both of them are fantastic. So yeah, that's the beauty of physical media, is that these are definitely not going anywhere in my collection anytime soon. So,
awesome. Yeah, I love this physical media section that you do. One day I'm going to get all my DVDs back from my brother's attic, and we're going to have a fucking time, because like right now I'm just not buying any because I just don't have any money. But at the same time, like, I love that you have like this great collection. If you watch the show on YouTube, like if you go back through time, you had like nothing behind you, and now you've got this like amazing setup of DVDs and stuff behind you. It's really cool.
It's been a combination of getting back into it, collecting the ones I was missing, and bringing out the couple boxes that I still owned. And so now, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable. Like I said, all I'm worried about is owning my favorite movies of all time. That's kind of my baseline for physical media, is like just making sure that the movies that I know I'll be watching 20 years from now that I own, I'm not too worried about anything else, because I am, for as much as I bitch about streaming, I'm very much pro streaming. I like having the access to a lot of movies, for sure. It's just as a supplement to all the 4Ks and Blu-rays. So
yeah.
But maybe some final thoughts. Yeah.
Go ahead. Please.
Yeah, no, I just thought if you had anything, we can wrap it up.
No, I think I pretty much just said what I had to say. I feel like this movie is, again, a great thing to think about a little bit like deeper, and especially like appreciate a little bit more now that time has passed on it. And enjoy it too, just for the fun of it. Like, they kind of, like you said, it kind of has everything to it. So I enjoyed it. I don't think I'm going to like write like that this was the best movie I've ever seen. I just really liked it.
I think on the second time of watching, you might reevaluate and actually say that. So
that's the best part too. It's like growing time with me. It's not like I would turn it off if it was on. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. I'll wrap it up with Verhoeven's quote: "Everybody in war inherently becomes fascist." Just kind of his ethos for all of his takes and filmmaking history is like, everybody in war inherently becomes fascist. So, which is only one way out of it.
In the film, that comes through hardcore, because at the end, Casper Van Dien does pick up that line that he learns from his mentor and says, "What do you think you're going to live forever? What expect to live?
You want to live forever?"
Yeah, he's full transformation into like soldier, nationalist guy. So
love it. All right. Well, thank you for squeezing this in and having a hot take, first take reaction, because it was great to see.
Oh yeah,
how you reacted to it in such a short amount of time. So
yeah, it's just been a little bit of a hellish week. So trying to get something that I wanted to watch, that like, that's what I was kind of saying. I wanted to do Fear and Loathing because I know that like the back of my hand, and so like I could watch it, but also
definitely going to do that at some point. Yeah. So,
and I mean, I knew that it would be a little bit less like work for me to like think about if it's my pick. I like to just really like be able to say something about it. And this film, thanks for doing this the second week in a row, because this film is something I wanted to see, but I just didn't have enough to say about it. You know what I mean? Because it's my first watch, of course. So
love it. Fantastic.
Okay, so real quick, so they buried David Lean over at Hollywood Forever. I don't know if you had seen it. So I'm like looking forward to going and like paying my respects like soon.
Wow.
We just actually went to the Big Boy the other day. We were in the area. I was picking up my girlfriend from the airport, and I was like, "Do you want to go to like the Big Boy?" And then we're talking to our waitress, and she's like, "Holy shit!" On the day that like David Lean died, she's like, "I made like a fucking $1 million because like everybody came in and got like a coffee, like a pie, and everything, in tribute." And I was like, "That's amazing." So he's buried there now, and we were there the other day and saw Paul Rubens. We finally saw Pee Wee's grave, which is like, if anybody knows me, like I love cemeteries and I like that stuff. Like I just like being in the presence of fucking things and people and everything that I love, and it's so peaceful over there. It's like the one place in LA that you can like literally like feel peaceful. And also, I know you saw at Music Box the David Lean tribute that I think they've already done, but it was just like they did it again to kind of pay tribute to him since he's passed, right?
So you've been saying David Lean, but you mean David Lynch.
Oh my God, of course.
And when you said David Lean, I was like, oh, yeah, their director.
So what, they go dig up David Lean in London or wherever he's at and bring him to Hollywood forever? Okay, fuck. Sorry. That's you could tell I'm tired, dude. You can tell I'm working on it. Yes, David great. Lynch, of course. What the fuck?
Okay, you're talking about David Lynch. Wait, when did David Lean die? Now I have to find out. Because I thought you were just
80s probably, dude.
I thought you were basically referring to going to see his. He died in 91. I thought you were referring to going to see his grave. And then when you were saying that the waitress was like, oh yeah, I made a shit ton of money that day, I was like, well, wait a minute. What? I didn't quite understand what was happening there for a second. Okay. Just letting it play out.
Yeah.
All right. David Lynch. We're talking about David Lynch. Yeah. That was, all right. Now your story makes sense to me now. And yeah, I saw the Lynch retrospective at Music Box here. That was kind of a reappraisal of the retrospective they had a couple times. I popped in for Lynch Oz and The Wizard of Oz for just a little bit. But yeah, I was mostly hanging out, catching all the vibes in their cafe area. So it was pretty fun.
Catching the vibes is like that's the best part about that shit, you know?
Yeah, they had the whole like seat set up there for pictures and everything.
Yeah, thanks for sending those photos. Yeah, I love seeing that. So anyway, but that's kind of what's going on. It's, like I said, it's Emmy season, just kind of like going to those things. They're fun to kind of schmooze around about, and we went to Abbott Elementary last night, and that was at the Academy Museum, and the Academy Museum is fucking awesome. If you've never been, yeah, you would love it. They got like, Bruce the Shark like hanging, and they have like always like revolving exhibits. They have the Godfather exhibit. They had the Wizard of Oz one, which was phenomenal. But yeah, this was like in their theater, they played the last two episodes of Abbott Elementary, and they're for your consideration events, because then you go and vote for them for the Emmys. My girlfriend's part of that academy, not me, so I just got to tag along, and it's fun.
Hell yeah.
But I did go see Planet Terror and Death Proof at the Vista. Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. I love the double
feature. Did it have with the previews in between?
They did. So when the girl they do this at New Beverly, and they do it at the Vista as well. Maybe they do it now at the Music Box. I don't know, but they come up and they tell you like, make sure you turn off your phone or you'll be banned for life. Nice. And then they say, here's a little bit about this movie. Sometimes they'll give you a little background, but sometimes it's just like at the movie's about to start and they're like, we're having like a little problem with the projector today, so we're probably not going to show the trailers. And then as the second movie starts, we'll probably be okay, but you're going to see like we're going to have to change reels in between, like, because it's all on film, like, legit, and they're all like Tarantino's versions of them. So some of them are super old movies.
That is so fucking cool. It's like it's his personal
collection.
This that you're watching. That's got to be awesome.
And dude, I'll sit out there at Pam's Coffee and I'll be like having like a drink, and there'll be like a car come up and they come in with the film canisters. It's like there must be off-site somewhere. Like he must have some building that just has everything, because they bring
just looks like a Coen Brothers movie in the 40s with a couple of guys getting out of a car with a few tins going into the theater.
It's awesome, dude. It's awesome just to sit there and like see that, But anyway, I feel like as lucky as I did when I lived at so close to the Art Institute. I feel like every day I was like, I live right here. Like, anyway, Vista, it was pretty packed for the day. It was like a 1:20 showing or something. Watched both of them. The great Nikky Katt, who just passed away, died by suicide a couple days ago here in Burbank.
That was how he passed away?
Well, from what TMZ has told me, yes. I know it's not, I mean to joke about it, but I love TMZ, and that's where I get my news source. And they were reporting that he died by suicide. I think it was like 52. And Nikky Katt has been like ever since Boston Public, but before that, Dazed and Confused. And then seeing him pop up as this like kind of character actor here every now and again has been so fun. Like he was the guy who likes blowjob, who has two thumbs and likes blowjobs. This guy, that's from Christopher Nolan's film. God, the one I wanted to cover. What the fuck? Insomnia, of course. Yeah, and then also like just he was in Boston Public as like a school teacher, and yeah, it's a real sad. I just heard that he died, and then I heard that he killed himself. So I don't know,
I didn't hear that. I heard his passing, and yeah, he's been in some classic fucking movies, going back to The Burbs. Yeah, he was in the Gremlins too. along with what's his nuts from the Burbs? Feldman, Corey Feldman.
Oh yes, of course.
But yeah, I love his. But yeah, so either way, like plenty of classic movies all the way back to the 80s. So.
Well, anyway, so yeah, I loved it. It was awesome seeing both those films. By the way, they do leave out a few scenes in both films, and I'm kind of wondering if that's how it was originally intended. Like, you know, when she does a butterfly does a lap dance to Kurt Russell, that's not it. That wasn't in the movie when I saw it.
The lap dance was not in Death Proof?
It wasn't in it. So it's either it was like because of this problem that the person told everybody, like, or whatever, and then there's other scenes like right before they get into the whole Italian Vogue scene was not in it, like where they're in the car and it flips to black and white and he like tickles her foot or whatever.
Yeah,
that whole scene was not in it. Yeah, I know, huge scenes in my opinion. And I was just wondering, like, was the original theatrical thing, did they cut that out for time or something? I don't know.
I remember seeing that a couple times in the theater, and those I'm pretty sure they were in there.
Well, it's because they also offered to give like the audience refunds, but so that sounds just like a glitch on that specific screening that you were at then. So maybe
and the last theater in the world that's going to cut any of those scenes out would be the theater you saw it at. So,
but there's a director's edition of like Hateful Eight, that goes on like in other scenes and stuff like that. So I just didn't know. I don't think I saw it in the theater. If I did, I don't remember that being out of it. I always remember just like buying the DVD or whatever. So
no, my guess is that was just a glitch, especially if they were offering that. I bet if you went tomorrow, they would be in there. So
yeah, totally. Okay, so I just wanted to move on to my pick of the week for the song, because while I was in the theater, they play like the most amazing music, of course, and it's all curated by Tarantino, So there's a song that played that I did hey Siri, what song is this? And it's called "Foolish Heart" by the Mavericks, and it's a fucking great song. Do you know the song?
I know the Mavericks song.
Yeah. So that was playing in the theater before the movie played, and I loved it. So that's my song pick for the week. And anyway, that's what I've been up to. That's my song pick, and I'm sure you've got a pretty good song. I loved your David Lynch song last week. That's on the playlist. So
I'm waiting here with Lucky Lee. It's off his album. That album, it's mostly him singing, but that was like one of the few songs where he had like a guest singer, so he's still the composer of it and having it.
I love
perfect dream vibe. Like again, just like this was also great up at the Music Box, just hanging out in their in the bar area. Is they're just playing Lynch vibe music, either from his movies or in the style of the stuff that he's made. It's just
love that.
Out. It's the best ambiance music of all time. Like any David Lynch playlist is just like a perfect party setting, no matter what. So I love it. So I've been listening to a little bit of 80s Johnny Cash lately, which has been kind of a little bit of a blind spot for me, because we've always loved Johnny Cash, early stuff, obviously. You and I definitely were all into the American recordings back in the day when those were coming out. And so the late 70s,
the middle section doesn't get much love. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And so I was just kind of hearing some middle stuff. It's been nice to just have country as just a general resurgence, which has always been nice. So, but I'm going with the Baron from his album, The Baron, from 1981. It's got this great kind of couple chorus kind of setup, but it's basically a general storytelling song that he's got, and it's just about this mentor. Basically, it's kind of a pompous song. If you hear it, you'll understand. He's basically saying like, you're going to be a better man if you listen to this guy. So, but it's just a total Johnny Cash kind of vibe to it. But
it fits in with the nationalist feel of today's episode.
Yeah, there you go. Pool hall setting. The cover's great. It's just him in this, is looking like he's in the 80s with a big suit and with a pool cue on it. So awesome. Love it. The Baron by Johnny Cash. Great 80s, underrated, underappreciated, at least by me, Johnny Cash. So
All right. Well, we got a couple good picks then. Everybody listening, there is the Remainders Jukebox that's on Spotify, and it's curated with the wildest song picks from ever since we started doing this a couple years ago, and it's pretty great. And then I just like I know a lot of people watch this on YouTube, and we've been gaining our numbers. So I just want to thank everybody who gets to listen and watch these on YouTube, but also if you're listening wherever you are. Thanks for sticking with the show. This is episode 69, and we're coming back with episode 70 next. So I love doing it, man. I always try to make the time for it. And thanks for, fitting this one in with me. Crazy day.
Love hearing the first take. I think it's a movie that you're going to be reflecting on for many a years, despite the arduous political climate that we live in. So,
yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, I'll see you back here next time for episode 70.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
You too. See you soon. Bye-bye.